We're starting off high.
We can get
I
a two fools agree on that one. Oh, by the way, look, we got the wide shot.
There was you had accountability. Now what I can
Now all you need is a podcast and a YouTube channel.
No, not even.
Where give me the money. Show me the money.
Apparently there's a Foolproof page.
Shoot the J. Shoot it. Live at Facebook.com/Foolproof Entertainment Network. I need you on Twitter. I need you to repost the Facebook pages.
To raise a human before I would
Trust human to raise back wolves.
before I would trust a human to raise a wolf.
Right. I hear you. Yo, what up, fools? Welcome back to Do Fools Agree. As always, I am your host, Michael Reggie, here with my main man, Clifford Jordan Jennings.
That would be me. I'm him.
We're back.
He is I and I am him. Slim with the tilted brim on 20-inch rims. Who's that? Who's that? That's trivia for you. Ain't no schmo down right there.
I should know this.
He is I and I am him. Slim with the tilted brim on 26. What was it?
This was
on
26 or 28.
rims. Right, it was 20-inch rims. So that gives you the time frame as well.
Right. That would give you what, late 90s?
Right.
Early 2000s?
Early 2000s. Because, you know, like 2002, 2003, motherfuckers started putting shit on 26s and 30s.
Right.
And
which is why Jay-Z and like...
You said it.
As a Jay.
You said it. You said
Which is why in like 2007 he came out with songs that was like, grown enough to know the right car to buy, young enough to know the right car to buy, but grown enough not to put rims on it.
Right. Listen, he said it. Give Light Mike his props out the gate. He got it. He didn't even know he got it, and he got it.
Right, no doubt.
Listen.
Well, sir, we took a week off.
We took one, and I feel like we should take that shot out the gate.
We're going to do that?
Because we took one off.
Now we got to start a new streak. So here's to the new streak.
Here's to many more. Here's to many more, all that. And I hope your trip was great.
Well, we're going to talk about the trip. Mom, I love you. That's how I'll start off.
Mama, I love you. I'm legally blind.
I'm happy to have made it back from the trip. I don't know if you've seen the news. If you saw the news the whole weekend, we were out on the West Coast in Seattle. The most record temperatures that they've ever had.
Really?
They were showing like cable cars in Portland. The cables were actually melting. That's how hot it was.
Really?
Seattle was no different.
And that's ironic because we've had some beautiful days. Really.
Right, that's what I've heard.
Like it hadn't been too hot, too cold. Like even the hot days are like, yeah, but it's all right.
I cut the grass today, and I'm like, this is comfortable.
Right.
Old man.
That's
style.
how it's been. This is how it's been. This is the hottest I like my summers.
Right. Coasted at a mid-70s.
Listen, that's
Tell
great.
You what. No, so it was every bit of 100 degrees while we were there. In Seattle.
But it's drier though too, isn't it? Right? No, but you're by the water though.
Well, I will say for whatever reason, it is a drier heat than I would have expected being on the ocean.
Right.
But
okay. Drier than here.
It'd
be
and I'm not really sure why.
Reason. Like I don't get that either. Like why? It's like you're walking through a fucking cloud.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
Especially
like you gotta
after
like
it rains in the hot, right? Like it's like At least it wasn't humid out there being that hot.
But I tell you what, it was hot, and we did. There were some moments. I will say overall, so my mom moved out there back in September. She lives on an island. Was cool. Was cool to see the house that they built. Was cool to kind of see the island.
Did you get defense plans if shit pops off?
Yes, I know how to get there. We have plans. And really, you can't get there without the ferry.
Really?
It's ice. There's no bridges to the
island.
island.
How big is the island? How big is the?
I would say.
She's not the only house on the island.
She's not. No. So this is a community of a couple hundred people. I think it's I think what they say is there's 1,200 year-long residents, but during the summer there's close to 4,000 people on the island.
Are they all close?
The houses?
No, I mean the people on the island.
I think it's kind of clicky. So I think there are cliques certain on the island that are close. Yeah. Okay. And they're starting to get into it just a little bit, but my mom, she's not the most social
right
person.
And listen, I'm my REITs.
Right. Exactly.
You hear me?
She knows all the dogs' names on the island.
Oh, I'm sure. She knows the animals, the little jellyfish that swim up. That had a name, I'm sure.
Yeah, I would say that
REITs that's Bob.
Right.
Stay away from Bob. He stings sometimes,
he's
Andrew.
Kind of a jerk. I would say that the island itself is probably about the size of Bexley.
That's not bad.
So it's probably, a couple square miles, not much.
So you'd have to worry about infiltrators.
Yeah, the shoreline's interesting. There's only one port.
One way to get in there.
Yeah, that's good. Not to say that, you couldn't come aground somewhere else.
Either way, I mean, that's how the SEALs do, but I'm saying either way, this is just the way my mind works. That's why I asked if she knew someone, because ideally you would have to have somebody on the 6 points of the island.
Right. Well, what I would say is that there's a fair amount of firearms out there. That's
why I
fair number of QAnon type people, which
Listen, I'm not mad at you either. Just know we coming if shit pops off. So don't be mad if you see a little color.
Apparently, there is one black guy that lives on the island.
That's good to know. That's good to know. They haven't got out him yet, so that means there's hope.
Right, there is hope. But it was good. I mean, the travel on Thursday was a lot. Because we had 2 flights, and we had a 3-hour layover in the middle, so it was 10 hours of travel by the time it was all said and done. A-Reg did fine. I was a little worried about him just from he gets antsy, and I will tell you during our 3-hour...
The excitement, though, probably got him.
A little bit. And then I will tell you, during the 2.5, 3-hour layover, he was literally just running down the escalator, running back up. It was a secondary level to, whatever. So he was having fun. Right. So that was good. So we get there, and it's a ferry ride to the island. So the first 2 days are okay. First day, we really just hung out and went to bed because we've been traveling.
Right. You need that time.
Yeah. Second day.
Do you have jet lag?
Not really. I expected there to be more, and we all pretty much transitioned right away. And I don't know if that was just because of the length of the flights. When we got there, we were tired. But we fought through it, and so we were up till 9 or 10 o'clock West Coast time.
Right.
And so the jet lag part was we were still waking up at 4:30, 5 o'clock West Coast time because we're on East Coast.
Right.
So we never really transitioned back.
That would be me. But the only difference is if it's still dark out, if there's no light, I can still go back. I can still train myself to be it's not time.
And what I will say is that it stayed dark until about 6:30. But after that, it was...
There would be no, an extra 2 hours on top of 6 Eastern time for me. Can't go further than that.
Yeah. So, I get that.
Can't wake up past... back in the day, wake up at 2, 3 p.m.
Yeah.
Now, could not wake up past 11 p.m. to save my life.
No, I get it.
I call myself sleeping in. It won't work.
So the first day we were there, we pretty much just hung out on the island, went to the 1 or 2 beaches on the island. Andrew got to do paddle boats with Dan and went fishing, and it was cool. Second day.
Fishing? Was that his first time fishing?
It was his first time fishing.
Did he like it?
I will tell you that he wasn't. It wasn't like serious fishing by any means because they were in a paddle boat and like they went out to the middle of the lake and just sat there for like 10 minutes and casted it a couple of times.
Right.
Didn't really catch it.
Carmen used to like fishing. She used to have her own fishing pole.
Oh yeah, that's cool. I went plenty when I was younger. It just never became my thing. You know what I mean?
When I was older, like with the boys, that was something. You know, we definitely had some times doing that, but I don't like putting worms on the hook.
Yeah.
I just don't like it. I don't like putting worms on the hook. I have no problem chopping and filleting a fish.
Right.
But the worm on the hook is just too much for me First of all, the texture of the worm, and secondly, knowing that the worm's being penetrated when they curl up.
Yeah.
Like when you put them, I don't like that. That bothers me. I don't know if it's like bothering the animal type
they
thing
just use
or what.
meat. Like I think they cut up a little bit of hot dog.
That would be, but yeah, I can do that all day, but I don't like just like killing animals, I don't like the curl up, the fetal position thing that they do after. It's like fuck, like, you know, I don't know that feeling.
I get it.
I just had to kill a mouse in my house the other day, and I was just like, damn, like I didn't want to have to, but you're dumb. Run.
You fucked up.
Run, motherfucker.
So the second day of the trip, we went back to the mainland. Went to the Tacoma Zoo. We are spoiled living in Columbus because there's no zoos that can come close to Columbus.
Oh, I bet. Oh, wait, is it right? Columbus has one of the best?
Columbus is
I know
one of the top
I thought
ones.
Chicago had
They
one
might, but Columbus for like 10 out of the last 20 years has been ranked the best zoo.
Really? Well, I'm not a big zoo guy anyway. I don't like seeing
You don't like
the
animals in the cages, and I'm with you.
I'd be like, shoot me. I'm going to attack you every time you come to try to feed me. You better put that food on a hook.
Right.
Because I will attack everybody till y'all be like, put that one down.
Right. So that one was a little brutal just because it was so fucking hot, man. That was like the first day it was 100
And if
plus.
it's not as good as Columbus, what are you there for?
Right. And the other thing with like that part of the country, they don't know how to deal with the heat because usually it does not get that hot. Usually Seattle is like a comfortable 70 is the hottest it gets. And
people were irate and acting all.
They just I will say this, like their air conditioning systems couldn't handle it. They weren't designed to be able to cool something from 100 down to a comfortable temperature.
Okay.
So we finished at the zoo after doing a little hiking before the zoo.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but isn't that ironic that you could say we're spoiled with our air conditioning systems?
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Like here,
yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I've walked out in 100-degree heat after it rained and felt like, once again, I'm walking through the fucking death cloud.
Right.
But to be like, in Columbus, Ohio, they got better air conditioners because they're used to the hellish weather that we have to do. That's crazy. I would have never thought that. I would have thought, like, best air conditioner in the world, Miami. Well, not in the world, but in the country. Miami, Arizona.
See, and I agree with you. Again, I think it's because it doesn't get that hot there.
Right.
So that was I had a very unproud moment. I swore at my child for the first time.
Man, stop. He is fucking what? 6 years, about to be 6 years old?
Oh yeah, no.
He should have been sworn at 1,000 times. You better fucking stop it. So, Light Mike is back to White Mike.
So I'll give it to you here. So we get back to the ferry from the Tacoma Zoo. Mm-hmm. He's being a brat. And like to get on the ferry, you have to park like 30, 45 minutes ahead of the time it leaves, or else you may not be in line like early enough to actually make
Wait,
the ferry.
is it one of those ferries where you park on the ferry?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, I was imagining like a walk up to...
Yeah, or in park and then take the car.
Right.
No, so it's a car ferry.
Oh, okay. So, I wasn't imagining that.
And honestly, that was kind of like the best part of the trip.
That's better. I bet that would be better.
Because what we do is we drive on and then we go walk around the top while we were on the water. That's where we got like the jellyfish pictures and stuff.
Okay. I would have been in that bitch with the air on, like...
But the thing was, when you were on the water was the only time you got a breeze.
Right.
So,
that makes sense.
So we're parked back at the ferry, literally telling this kid, hey, like, you know, we've got 45 minutes till the ferry comes. You want to go get some ice cream? Would not get out of the car. I looked at him and I'm like,
but he was like, it was hot too? Like,
get out of the fucking car.
What was the reason why he didn't want to get out?
He didn't give a reason. He just didn't want to get out.
And it was just the Andrew, get the fuck out of the car.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't get the fuck out of the car. It was get out of the fucking car.
Listen, I cuss at my daughter so much, she doesn't even take it seriously anymore.
I bet.
And it's just so nonchalantly too now. Like, why the fuck would you do that, Karma? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Well, and I think part of that too is we've tried not to just
fuck all that.
But
know me as me, know me myself.
So I cussed out my child, and then
welcome to a regular day,
right?
And you know mine don't even bother me, and I'd be like, Karma, get the fuck in the shower. I don't want to have to tell you again. Your mom's about to pick you. Get in the shower,
or you get us both fucked up.
Listen. What the fuck do I have to do? Do I have to waterboard you myself? That's every day.
That's what it is.
And she'd be like, Dad, calm down. Come on, I'm getting
Dad,
it now.
relax.
I'm getting it now. Kick back. I guess that's the preteen stage where it's like, nothing's a big deal. I'm doing. And I'd be like, I'm going crazy. I told you 2 hours ago to get in the fucking shower. Your mom's going to be here in 20 minutes, and Lord knows you take a 45-minute shower. And your fucking teeth better be brushed by the time that door opens, or I'm coming in there swinging.
Because you know she's going to smell your breath.
Right. I've never seen a prettier girl that don't want to shower and brush her fucking teeth. God bless, she's still 10 years old. 2 more years, and you got a fucking problem, Jack. Because I'm going to be teasing you with the little boys. That's real. You talking about cussing? Nah, this is going to hurt your soul a little more than that.
Hurt your feelings. So, the last full day we were there was just a comedy of errors. So, take the ferry into Seattle. Because my mom and her boyfriend want to, like, show us around downtown Seattle.
Right.
It is 107 degrees, maybe 108. And
you're walking everywhere. Did you take the car ferry again, or
we took the car ferry and then we walked, and then we parked in Seattle down by the harbor,
and then
we walked all over the place. So
they're acclimated to the.
Oh yeah, well they aren't because it was hot for them too, but they're also ultra runners,
right?
Who are like
both of them,
right?
Both fucking of them.
So Mom, I love you, and I told you this during the trip. So we walk around the harbor a little bit, then we walk into this thing called like the Market District. And the only way I can describe the Market District to people from Columbus is take the short north and all the cutesy little like boutique shops and everything and stack them on top of each other. So it's like 6 floors up the side of this building that you kind of like go almost switchbacks up.
Mm-hmm.
And you walk through it. And 1, that's not my scene to begin with.
Right.
2, it's 106 degrees with no air conditioning, and you are in there with 150 people, or 100, probably
there's no
1,500 people.
There's no way.
We got to the 4th floor of this building, or the 3rd floor, or whatever it was. I turned to my mom. I'm like, Mom, I love you, but this is my personal fucking hell. Like, I need to get the fuck out of here.
There's no way. There's no way. There's no way. First of all, because when I get too hot, my body starts to tingle.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Well,
like
no,
where
I swell
like my
up.
Skin tingles, and then that's when I start getting overly aggressive,
Yep.
like irritated, like what's going on, like And heat doesn't work with me.
Me
I don't
either.
work with heat.
So at that point, my mom did kind of like help me usher outside, which was nice of her. I looked at her and I'm like, we need to find somewhere to eat because it's now like 1:30 in the afternoon. I'm like, we need to find somewhere to eat, and we also like, and I'd like for it to be a sit down place with air conditioning.
Right.
Well, we met one of those two things. We got to sit down.
No air conditioning.
Dude, the place we found was a breakfast only place. They only sold breakfast.
I can't eat with no air conditioning. I'll sweat eating in the air conditioning.
No doubt. So
just eating alone will cause me to sweat for some reason.
So this breakfast joint, they bring us
heavy food.
They bring us water with no ice. Lukewarm. No ice, lukewarm fucking water. This place doesn't even have a fan. Like the fan in the joint is broken. I am literally sitting at this breakfast table pouring sweat.
I know you.
My shirt was soaked. I had a gray shirt on, and it was dark gray.
And you know me, I'd have been naked. Right. I'd have been down to my drawers in the restaurant.
So we finished that, and then we walk to the Space Needle, which is probably another 2 miles away. Now, don't get me wrong. The Space Needle was cool. It was fun. It was also hot. The other thing with Seattle right now is that it is still, they are very much still masked up.
Right.
Like that's the policy in Seattle. Oh, yeah.
Man.
So we did all that, and then we finally walked back to the car. We bribed Andrew the whole way back to the car. Like, look, dude, you're going to get to go in the pool because we were staying at a hotel that night because it was closer to the airport. Dude, you're going to get to go in the pool. We're just going to relax the rest of the day. We get to the hotel. Pool is closed because COVID, they all the pools in Seattle are still shut down. So, luckily, Andrew takes that pretty well because we just put him on video games and he's fine. About an hour and a half after we get to the hotel, we realize the pool is closed. We finish up dinner, going to get into the shower, shower off, take a bath, all that kind of stuff.
Only got hot water.
Oh no, the shower doesn't work in our hotel room. The faucet won't turn on. It's not turning the water on. So we ended up having to switch rooms after walking through the literal ninth circle of hell all day. And Mom, I love you. We'll come back in the winter.
Right. When that ferry's cutting through ice.
Right. Iceberg ahead.
Now listen.
So that was the trip. But, I mean, overall, it was good to see my mom. It was good to see Dan. Their place is cool. The island is cool enough.
Said cool enough.
Yeah. I mean, it's not my thing. I understand why they like it. Not my scene, but.
Cool enough for a non-hostile takeover.
Right.
Well, listen.
So, that was that. I almost called you last night because I had a Reggie cousin who was driving from Florida up to Buffalo.
And they stopped through?
They stopped by for the night.
Why didn't you call me?
Because he got in a little later than I expected him to. And because I hadn't said anything to you, I was like, that's a little late. Because he didn't get in until almost 9. And so we talked for a couple hours, and then he left in the morning. But, yeah, George, my cousin George stopped by.
George Reggie.
Uh-huh. So, you know.
Looks like he sounds.
Yeah, pretty much.
George
What
Reggie.
cracks me up is he looks just like his dad and his brother. When he walked up, Shar was like, yeah, I can see it. He looks like, Greg and all of them.
All right.
I had a dark comment with him. I'm like, yeah, the last time I saw you, man, we both still had fathers. So it's been 25 plus years.
I mean, it be like that sometimes.
It does. But you know what? You know what was cool? It was like we had been friends the entire time. And honestly, we've talked to each other once or twice on Facebook here and there, but nothing. That last night was the first time I've had a conversation with him since I was 5 or 6 and he was 8 or 9, something like that.
Well, okay.
But it was cool.
Well,
all right, I'm gonna hit the chat real quick because we've got a couple of ones going on.
Hit them chats.
So, Malcolm saying, "What's good, fools?" Cliff got a haircut for the show. He said, also, congrats on the 75th episode. Thank you, Malk. Donovan chiming in, what's up? He made a comment about you don't like touching worms.
Yeah, I don't like that. You know what I mean?
And then my mom chimed in with, as soon as I left, the hot weather left too. So
you're the
basically
devil.
the day after I left, it was 72 degrees there.
So you're the devil.
It's bullshit. Donovan wants to know if we're doing an after show. We'll see. And
We may just. I would like to meet my guy.
We could do that. We could be down for that. And then Uncle Dan chiming in with, it just proves that no one should ever leave home.
I'm with Uncle Dan.
That's Uncle Dan's MO.
Listen, my house plywood. You can come at me whatever you had. You don't even need guns. You can come at me with a strong pellet gun, and it's coming through and hitting me out of my shit. But that is where I am the most comfortable.
I hear you. Especially after all that, I'm like, you know what? I'm good. I'm also spoiled because I've been like, the AC in this joint is pretty good.
That's what I need to do. I need to get another air conditioner.
Yeah. Did you get one? So you still working on the old one? Because then you have one, right? You have a window unit.
I have two of them.
Okay.
One of them's just going out, and the other one isn't strong enough to power the house. But
Gotcha.
I mean, I'm comfortable.
So as long as you're comfortable. Till it dies on you.
Listen, but I mean, till both of them die on me, I guess. Because I was about to say, right now, I don't even have the one that can power the whole house in the window.
No.
That's the one that's going out. The one that can power that one's strong enough to power the entire house. But right now, I just got the little room unit on.
Gotcha.
And my ceiling fan, and that's been enough to keep me cool. It's saving me on electric, so fuck it. I'm not gonna.
No, I get it.
I
mean, that was actually something. I think I said something about this, but like, since we moved here, the electric bill's been cut in half, and I think it's just because this house is better insulated than 564.
Nah, it's because your previous owner was Jewish.
I don't even. What does that mean? Add that one up for me.
Listen, you can't cancel me. The motherfucker was frugal. That's all I'm saying. He built the rooms. He built the flow, the airflow.
To make sure that it stayed cool.
I don't have to worry about it. Because right now, listen, normally I be stripping down.
No doubt.
I'm good.
So.
I rock with the Jews. I just felt the need to say that after
you said that.
Right.
Yeah, no, I hear
Since
you.
that's what Chinese are the new Jewish. That's my inadvertent thought.
Are they?
Yeah, like now it's like, because the whole Asian hate shit, which once again I still haven't really seen, but it's like, don't say nothing or do nothing or anything about the Asians, because they're the new Jews. They're the new Jewish. Black folks, you can still say or do whatever to them.
Right.
But the Jewish and the Chinese, they're off limits.
They're off limits.
I don't know what that's
You can't
about.
mess with them.
But
well, that's because they're the ones actually running the world now. You're not wrong in the statement.
how many Chinese Jews are there? That's the question. Because goodness, that's like a fucking Optimus Prime out here at the moment.
Transform and roll out.
Meanwhile, we can't even run fast anymore because we smoke weed.
What are you talking about? Black Girl Magic's the thing right now, isn't it?
Listen.
Minus, what's her name? And honestly, like, why are they testing for weed anyways?
Listen, that's a whole conversation. And I have no problem having it. I don't get that. I don't get that. It would have made more sense to me if it was like somebody like Jamaica can't say shit. Let's say like a China or Japan who has a pretty quick runner. Because I'm gonna say this, and anybody out there that is a true fan, tune into the podcast tomorrow because we'll be having this conversation as well. But Malcolm said, I don't understand why they would disqualify her from the 100 and allow her to run the relays. I said, well, that makes perfect sense. They said she's disqualified from the 100. She can still run the 1x4.
What? How does that?
Yeah,
4x1?
she can still. 4x1. I'm tripping. And if I'm not mistaken, her best. Well, not her best. Her best is the 100, but her second best is the 200. I believe she can still run that as well.
So, do we have somebody else that can win the 100 outside of her?
We have someone close. I can't
close.
think of her name. But no, not as fast as her, no. But the one girl that she was only off of her by like I think a 0.4, 0.5. Like I think she ran to qualify.
You mean a 0.04 or 0.05? I hope because 0.4 and 0.5 in the 100 meter.
No, it was a 0.4, 0.5.
Okay.
She ran a point to qualify, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. She ran it was either the race she ran a 10.8 or a 10.76 into the headwind. And she ran it into the headwind too. Now the girl that finished behind her ran a when she ran the 10.8, she ran a 10.9 something. Okay. Like it was right before 11. Still very fast for a girl, but
I mean that's
when you're looking at Jamaica that you're going against for speed, it's not fast enough. I don't even think that Sha'Carri's 10.78 was fast enough.
So maybe that was the reason, was that they just didn't see she wasn't winning a gold, so fuck her.
No, I think she had the possibility to, but her issue is
she
that
needed the right break.
Her issue is that and everybody's always said it. She can't come out the blocks quick.
Okay, so
she beats everybody on the back end. She has a slow start and then she catches the top speed.
Yeah, but that's starts. I feel like are things that
the shortest out of all of them, and we talked about this on the last episode. The first quarter of the race is usually the best race for the shorter people. That's my reaction. My step out of the blocks can usually beat the guys with the long legs, right? Yeah. And that's how it was when I ran track. I was well ahead of everybody out the blocks. Then they caught up to me as their stride picked up. Yeah. And I couldn't,
See, I was the exact opposite. I had long legs, but I had great starts. And we talked about this from a football perspective.
Some people do.
I had great starts.
You're a defensive end.
And my long legs were actually what kept me in like 40-yard dashes.
You're a defensive end, so that makes sense. That makes sense for you. Yeah. You're used to reaction time.
Right. Absolutely.
And you know what? That may be, and not to sound like chauvinist, but that may be a female trait. You know what I mean? Like not having the reaction time. Yeah. Because usually the only females that you see having reaction time are females that are in combat sports, because that reaction time means
it's what you're
something.
Trained for and taught
if I get hit and I don't have the reaction time, I lose. Right. But when you think about a runner, your reaction time doesn't mean anything. I can still beat you even if you take off and you're beating me by 10 yards.
Especially early on in your career, like high school and even probably college to some extent for women's athletes.
First 2 years of college, I would say.
It probably plays less of a factor, and it's not until you're at the elite level that your starts and your reaction times matter.
Real life woman weight, woman strength. Right.
I think that's interesting.
Because even for men, you got to think, men don't hit their men's strength until we're damn near out of our 20s.
Yeah, I mean, what they say is peak performance for elite male athletes is usually like 28 to 32. And that's not to say that they go like fall off dramatically after that, but usually it takes you to get to 28 to build the strength and build the muscle mass and the fast twitch reflexes.
But the question is, can you keep up with the younger guy who has more talent and still hadn't developed his fast twitch? And and that's where it is in that. But with women, you don't see that. Like, honestly, I'm not saying that women aren't capable. I'm just saying the first female I've seen to have fast twitch like a man, Clarissa Shields. the only 2-time Olympian that we have in the United States. Even Layla Ali did not have fast twitch like that. Now, she had ability, she had skill, she didn't have fast twitch like that. And you know what? That's my inadvertent. We skipped over inadverts altogether, and I thought about it.
Well, that's because you said it before the show that you forgot what yours was. So.
Yes, and I
was trying to cover for you.
I got 2 now. Yeah, right. I got 2 now because I remember both of them.
Okay.
I actually had a third, but I'll save that one to see how these next couple days play out.
My only one that I had, I shared on Twitter earlier. So.
Well, share it again. Share it again.
So my one was track and field records are falling like every 30 seconds. It feels like.
You think? Well, it depends on what the record is, in my opinion.
It does, but what I'm saying is like there are some records that were set back in like the 90s that have fallen recently, and what I think it is. And personally, this is projecting a little bit.
You're also a strength coach. You're like a strength, and even when you did track, you were like hammer and shot put.
And those are the ones that are falling right now.
That's what I was about to say.
I understand that's what you're saying.
That's what I was about to say.
But what my inadvertent thought was the pandemic is actually the result. Like, this is a result of the pandemic, because what I think it did was it forced throwers to get out of their own heads a little bit. And I think it also prevented them from overtraining. Like, personal experience, as a thrower, my best throw of my college career was 2 weeks after the season, taking a last ditch, like not even knowing that my coach was going to offer me to compete, and I went out and threw a PR by 2 meters, which is like 7-8 feet, in the hammer, and it was because I took 2 weeks off. I think when you get to a college level and even beyond college, I think that there is a propensity to overtrain, which actually ends up hurting you.
I agree.
And so, personal experience, that's what my case was. I wonder if having a year off from all of this basically forced some throwers to, like, chill the fuck out. And the reason why you're seeing, like, records fall left and right now is that they haven't been able to compete. And so they've got all this pent-up energy from an adrenaline standpoint, from a training standpoint, that, like...
But see, I don't. Okay, so let me just say this.
You also have to remember, like, throwing in particular and track in general.
Right.
It is a 1 second event, really.
Well, see, you're right, and it's funny because with form, especially forms such as throwing, it's similar to forms such as throwing punches. You know what I mean? And it's a situation
it's the
where
same hip and strike and
it's a situation where you have to practice the movement to master the outcome.
Yep.
So
you have to drill the movement so much that it's reactionary.
Exactly. I don't even think, because let's be honest. The more you think about it,
the more you're gonna fuck it up.
Right. Now, the less you think about it, the more you just do it, is the better you do. But only if you have mastered that technique to be able to do
My PRs always came the first 2 weeks of the season and the last 2 weeks of the season.
That's interesting. Well, no, and you know what? It's funny because when I said go ahead, I lost both of my independent I did. And they'll come back. I promise they will. But it's funny that you say that, because the reason why I feel...
What up, Travi?
Travi Awesome in there. What's good, my brethren? But the reason why I feel falling off is not because of the quarantine.
No.
I feel it's in general because of the generation. The way we were raised. You know what I mean? Like... Don't get me wrong, it takes a lot to throw shot put and hammer. I actually threw a little bit of shot put even in my track career, and I was like way undersized. But it's the
But you probably had a good strike from
punching. It's the explosive. And what I'm getting at is the more you practice, the better you get.
Yeah.
So even if you took a year off because of this quarantine and you didn't throw one shot put or one hammer, shame on you.
I would actually say that it is the fact that they haven't competed in a year. So while,
okay, that makes sense. That does make sense.
I think
that makes sense.
Throwers are the biggest head cases on the planet because
that makes
again,
sense.
You train 30
I need to know
hours
who I'm
a week.
throwing against.
Well, it's that like you train 30 hours a week for literally
right 6
throws if you're good that are 2.5 seconds each.
But how many throws are you throwing throughout the week? I remember being in practice.
I was in the volume. Like my track coach in college was my first 2 years was not great. My second 2 years was really good. And he's actually coaching Team USA for the throws.
Oh, really?
I'm trying to remember
Get a hold of him.
If it's the Olympics or if it's...
Get a hold of him if you can.
I
will. Need him.
And Aldrich and I are cool.
Yeah, we need him if possible.
But he was really good with mixing it up from
especially
training underweight and training overweight.
Okay.
So like shot put.
Right.
College is a 16-pound shot.
Like training me as a shot put thrower being underweight, he would be...
I would take it the other way. So what we would have is, in college, it's a 16-pound shot. We would train some days with a 20-pound shot.
Oh, okay,
some days with a 12-pound shot.
Right. I see what you're saying.
Same thing. We would do the same thing with hammer, and
right.
It's like it teaches you different
boxing.
control. Like exactly,
right.
I'm sure there's comparable
gloves,
like weight, yeah.
Right. But yeah, no, that makes sense.
But before that, like I mean, I was probably getting close to 50 to 100 throws during the week, depending on the week.
Would that make
to throw 6 throws on a Saturday?
And that's what I was about to say because I mean, like I said, I do remember throwing shot put in track, but I remember doing like at least 20 throws a day.
Yeah.
But I was also a sprinter and a long jumper, so it was cut in half,
right?
As opposed to what the only throwers did. You know what I mean? Like, I had to finish that before I got to this.
Before you came over.
Because that was more important than this is.
It was. Yeah,
This was more like when you see somebody in high school that can wrestle and they're the right weight class. Well, we just want you to do this.
Right.
It's not that I want to do
it.
I will, but...
Yeah. No, I get that.
You know? So I feel like when it comes down to right now... The reason why, because you look at it on the opposite end of the spectrum, sprinters are excelling a lot more than the previous years.
Well, and that's the other side. So it's like throws, it's sprints, and I haven't seen any yet, but my gut says it's going to be jumps.
Yeah, I agree. I think jumps would be a lot higher now.
Now, the ones that I don't know that you'll see are middle distance and distance.
Middle distance as far as like the 800 or
like 400, 800.
Okay.
And then you got the mile and the 2.
Right.
And I don't know that you'll see as much of a change there because I don't think those folks' training regimens changed at all with the pandemic. Well, the middle distance probably did.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It depends on who you're dealing with because, like, pandemic doesn't stop nothing. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't stop. Like, trust and believe. Like, that just may be my experience, right?
Yeah.
Because... I came from 2 hard parents, and I was very lucky to come from 2 hard parents. I'm not saying that in a, demonstrative way or anything like that. I'm just saying that if I was on spring break, my mom's still making me work in math books and read books.
Yeah.
If football was canceled, my dad's still out there making me put pads on and run with the neighborhood kids that play football. Like, it was always something, even when I'm in off time, there's no break.
Yeah.
So, I don't view... So it's almost to the point where now our generation is now looking at it where, like, it's like we have too much time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like think about it. Like when we were in high school, it was 7 days a week training.
It was, and that was
when we didn't.
Regardless of
practice, we lifted.
Right.
We had to come in on Sundays and lift. So it was like, if this is really what you want to do, show me your devotion. And right now, I don't see enough devotion, which in turn equates to injury. It equates to not being prepared for the situation.
So I will actually take it the other way. What I would say is there's not enough variability in what kids are doing these days, because we've had the talk around the year-long like AAU basketball and AAU soccer. And at the end of the day, one, that burns kids out. Two, it leads to repetitive stress injuries. And three, you're not honing the overall craft and athleticism because you're only focusing on one sport. Like, I would actually take it the other way, is that it's almost like kids like bottleneck themselves into one thing and aren't willing to expand and try different things. Because I mean, I don't know about you. I was a 3-sport athlete most of my career. Whether it was football, wrestling, baseball, track, like some combination of those.
I was always really 1, maybe 2.
But at the same
football
time,
and track, or I mean, and I'm not counting
and fight
boxing.
sport.
I'm not counting that.
But the thing is I think you have to, because what it did, it taught you different movement, different style, different conditioning.
Definitely, that's definitely the truth.
And that makes you a better all around athlete, which in turn usually makes you better at every sport.
Well, I guess the only reason why I wouldn't count it is because of how it took place. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that my dad's not a professional trainer.
Yeah.
I have no doubt in my mind my dad can train a professional fighter right now at an elite level. But because that was more so time with my father, I didn't view it as... Don't get me wrong, I didn't want to do it. Didn't want to do it. And I'll be the first to say... Used to cry. I used to cry when my mom used to be like, you gotta go to your dad's this weekend. Cry.
Because you knew he was gonna have you doing some shit.
Oh my gosh. My head's gonna be ringing for 3 weeks. Now at the end of it, I was happy.
And you appreciate it now.
I did. And no, at this point, would have never traded my life for anything else. But at the moment, until the end of the day, when I knew it was all said and done, like over with, like there's no more work I have to do, I didn't.
I mean, I get it. My mom was kind of the same way.
I didn't want to see your face.
My mom was kind of the same way, in the sense that it was, you have to be doing something. You are not just going to stay home and do nothing.
I agree with that.
And she was open about it. She was like, you can do sports. You can get a job. You can go do X,
play
Y,
a
and Z.
flute.
But you have to be doing something.
Right. Learn an instrument. Play the piano. And I feel the same way. And that's between me and the audience. Our little secret. I feel like that's the issue I have with my daughter right now.
She's not like
not me specifically, like me having an issue with her, but it's like, what are you going to do?
What are you invested in? Right,
like you have to do something to learn the camaraderie that comes with being loyal to a whole.
Whether it's sports, whether it's drama club,
something,
whether it's
dance class, anything.
Yeah.
Like you have to learn your worth to the cog.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that from the the government cog in the machine.
No, but you have to understand. One, I agree. I like what you said with that, in the sense of you have to understand your worth.
Right. Your worth, what you mean to this situation.
And also how to show people your worth.
Right. You may not have that worth in your own mind. You may think, I'm just another kid just learning, but what could you be?
Yeah.
And until people rely on you for something, you don't learn what you could do.
And honestly, that's my and this is why I coach and why my conversations with my wife have been, Andrew's going to play team sports.
And he has to.
And if he wants to do drama and something else, I'm fine with that too. But he has to be part of a team thing, and I also would like him to be involved in an individual thing. Like, I actually think that was one of my big strengths.
That's what,
from coming up through high school and college, was I had the team sports side and I had the individual sports side. So I learned how to work with others and prove my worth to a team.
Right.
As well as how to beat the fuck out of myself.
And that's what I was
and that
about
driving
to say.
that independence.
That's what I was about to say. You broke out of your shell when you realized what your worth was on the field.
Football field.
But the truth was, and not to go like too deep or too sentimental, the truth was you meant a lot to the Mees, Shelbys, and Gordons, but you didn't know what that was you meant.
There was I had very little confidence in myself until football.
Right.
And especially being a sixth grader who ended up starting for the eighth grade team in the championship game.
Right. And then you start getting confidence about yourself.
I probably got a little cocky there for a while, but
and you deserve to be. But what I'm saying is, my daughter has yet to have that experience of being.
Yeah.
Listen, you're a Jordan at the end of the day.
Right.
You're a Jordan.
This is the same conversation I'm gonna have with A-Reg. Like, you go by A-Reg, right? You know your dad was Big Reg, right? Like,
but at the end of the day, you're a Jordan. That means you're great at something.
Yes.
What is it you're going to put your mind into that you're gonna do? She told me the other day, I want to do dance classes. I said, that's great. Let's do it. How much it costs? She said, well, I'm starting out online just to see if No,
you have to go somewhere, be somewhere.
No, right. Yeah, no.
And
Your dad's not paying for that.
No.
And I don't care if your mom thinks I'm a deadbeat. I'm not giving you $1 for that. Unless she's going into a competitive dance thing.
Even
something
just
to
going
where
into
she
a
has
studio
to be
and be
relied upon.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
I
Like,
get
there's
that.
no half-assing in this. Either do it or don't do it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. But if you want to do it, you're going to do it. You're going to compete. You're going to do it. And you're going to be the best that you can be for the people that you compete with.
Right.
And that's the thing that I don't see the understanding in right now. And I think that that's generationally. Like, the kids don't generationally feel like they owe their counterparts anything, which is why they don't give themselves more than they can actually give.
Well, it's the... I don't know.
It's
I
the
go
you
back
wouldn't
and forth
shoot
that
with
it's
me in
like,
the gym.
It's like the go for the clout versus like actually do something.
See, I don't even think of it like that. I think of it like this. Like, a lot of the kids, at least inner city kids, deal with a lot of shit in general, right? So even before you get them into a sport that calls for them to assign loyalty, they're already thinking, well, I just met you. The people in my neighborhood been loyal to me, so I'll be loyal to them.
Yeah.
But what's the focus, though? Like, what's the focus in that? Like, yeah, that's good if you got a kingpin,
squad, yeah.
a kingpin in your neighborhood that's gonna make sure everybody's eating.
Mm-hmm.
But if that's not the case, then how are you going to prove you're worthy of providing for everyone else around you?
Well, and you know what's interesting is that we bring this, I'll bring this to even to the corporate America side of things, which is we talk a lot about how you grow into leadership roles in corporate America is.
Right.
How are you able to expand your sphere of influence?
Right.
How are you able
that's
to
interesting.
influence things around you without direct authority?
That's interesting.
And you learn that through things like sports, through things like group activities, whether that's
I agree.
drama, whether that's band, whether that's dance. Like, you learn how to rally people around you through those types of experiences.
No, I agree. I agree 110%. The only disagreement I have is you still have to... Well, okay. Let me first explain where I'm speaking from.
Okay.
And I'm speaking from, and I hate to always do it, but let's take it to a racial thing. From an African American standpoint, it's always been you have to work harder than the man next to you.
Fair.
To be noticed, you have to work harder than the man next to you. Now, when you come into a situation where everybody has that same attitude, and everybody's trying to work harder than the man next to them, then what you're doing is you're sharpening your iron, right? But if you don't put yourself in a situation where you have to sharpen your iron, then you don't know the knife you have on your hip.
The strongest
it may be
steel
dull,
is tested by the hottest flame.
Right, and that's what I'm getting at. Like coming up, it's almost funny. Coming up playing football in the inner city as opposed to playing in the suburbs were two different worlds to me.
Oh yeah.
It was like when I started playing for Gahan and they started saying, "Well, why are you hitting so? Why are you trying to hurt every?" I was thinking, is that not what you want from me?
Right.
Like, I thought you wanted me to take out anything in front of me.
What's funny is that you also played for even at St. Cat's. St. Cat's was probably the most
Thomas
hood.
Christ the King.
Yeah, it was the most hood Catholic school in Columbus.
The record said so.
The Green
CC Greenway. CCC Greenway. Yeah.
But
I love that, but it still wasn't Mifflin though.
No.
You know what I mean? Like playing at Mifflin was just something completely different than playing with even St. Cat's and St. Thomas and Christ the King as opposed to Gahanna. It was really an acknowledgement, like a learning thing. Like, okay, well this doesn't work. Okay, they say the only thing that's constant is change.
Right.
And I wasn't adapting to the change, and I was stuck on the old way of things. And I mean, let's be honest, the old way of things, in my opinion, still works. You just may get a couple extra calls, if you know.
No, I hear you on that. And I mean, it's interesting because I think my style is definitely adapted from like coaching hitting and coaching those kinds of things. But I would say from a defensive line perspective, it hasn't changed as much. From a tackling perspective, yes, because I think
you can't hit the same way you used to. You can't target the same things you used to. I wanted to hit you in the head.
Right.
I was aiming for your head.
Right. I'm taking your head off.
Right. That I mean, like nowadays, it's like, yeah, you're targeting. That's a call.
Dude,
and I get it.
I was flipping back through some old college film the other day, and how many shots I took on quarterbacks who had just released the ball. Dude, I would have been flagged like every third play.
Listen, that was my play. I was cornerback. I was the corner blitz.
Yes.
And it was more times than not the weak side. So I'm hitting the back of the quarterback. I used to try. I don't care if I hurt myself. Somebody's not getting up quick from this play. And that's just the way I thought. Like, it's just a matter of who's better. Like, who's built tougher, who's has more heart, who's willing to work harder. Yeah. Because I don't care if I'm hurt. I'm hopping straight the fuck up, and I'm not going to let you know it.
Yeah. No,
now, once I hit that sideline and I'm sitting on the bench, I'm be like, Coach, my fucking ankle. All right? I don't know how much you got left in me, but listen, and that's to round it back, to round the topic back. That's why I feel like there's more. You see the females breaking more records now in sprints, and you don't see anything spectacular in shot put or disc or hammer. They were just talking about it on the podcast. They said those were the first games of the Olympics.
The throws and all that.
And people were saying, well, like, why are they still even in there? Well, you know why they're still in there, because you still want to see it. But when you look at how soft our world is becoming, of course that's going to lose.
Yeah. I mean, the flip side is I think, I don't know. It's been interesting the last, like, month, because there have been a ton of, like, records that have fallen lately. Like, from a hammer perspective, from a shot put perspective, like, I think the only one that seems to still be standing is the disc record. But it's javelin. So, no, it's been...
I mean,
I'll be curious to see the Olympics. Like, I'm usually not a big Olympics person, but I'll probably watch some track events.
I still got a picture of me and Karma watching the Olympics, and it was we were watching either the diving. I think we started with the diving and ended with the gymnastics. I was just looking at all the shit that she may possibly be interested in.
Yeah.
And she was glued to the TV more than I was. I just don't. And you know what? Another thing is that this is our second. Not second, but if I remember correctly, we didn't do the Olympics in 2020.
Right. Yeah, they were supposed to be in 2020.
So instead of 2024 to go the next 4, they did 2022. Well, 2021, but that's what.
Summer, I think, is the only thing that's been impacted. I think winter is still on the same schedule.
Okay. Well, nobody really watched the winter. The Winter Olympics didn't take place at the same time as the regular Olympics anyway.
Winter and summer, there's 2 different ones.
Right, and who really gave a fuck about the Winter Olympics other than when Cool Runnings came out? And the bobsleds. Listen, we had Herschel Walker coming out there in USA hopping in a bobsled, and then we got hip to that. But other than that, Tanya Harding and them bitches is hitting each other with crowbars. Maybe ice skating is the best sport to watch in the Olympics. You got triple axels and crowbars, mafia. That's interesting. That's like boxing. I guess I should be just as interested.
So your inadvertence come back to you?
No, they didn't.
So I'm going to give a spoiler warning because I'm going to talk a little bit about Loki.
Okay, let me use the bathroom while you do that.
Because we got 2 episodes to catch back up on.
Well, catch up. Let me use the bathroom.
And then you think about what your inadvertent is.
I'm going to think on the way because I remember it too because I got an inadvertence, just a soft one. That's not the ones that I had. I had some good ones.
Gotcha.
But I will throw out the soft one right now just because it's a not a waste, but it's just I was thinking to myself like, okay, you make Juneteenth a national holiday, right, for the year. First of all, my first thought is that because that they had a lot of black people boycotting July 4th, and you knew that you weren't going to make money off of half of the people, so let's get more money off.
No, what it was is that July 4th fell on a Sunday this year, and most
black folks go to church, and they ain't going to be at the barbecue
they weren't getting their... Not everybody is getting the 5th off, is what I'm saying. So they had to give us another day off.
Nice, motherfucker. You try to think of it from both ways. My thing is...
Black folks work... No, see, I don't want to say that, though, because there are plenty of black folks with good jobs. There are enough people that are still having to work on the 5th.
Right.
That they needed to add another national holiday on a weekend or on a weekday so that they could go shopping.
Well, I'm glad you said that because here comes my inadvert. The fact that why do all the black holidays, i.e. Martin Luther King Day being a national holiday, or not,
bank holiday?
Not Martin Luther King Day.
What are you thinking?
It might be. Is it Martin Luther King Day?
I don't know what you're asking.
Well, keep trying to read my mind, motherfucker. I'm trying to get it.
Which one's coming on Monday?
What I'm saying is when they announced them as national holidays, they were already after the holiday to where even the black folk, we couldn't take it off. We had to wait until the next year. Just like Juneteenth, where it's like, well, you didn't give
didn't
it
they
to
announce
us.
it on like the night on the night or on the day?
That next year would be, so we just sitting here like, what?
Fuck you.
Do we get the July 5th off massa? Like, is that what? Because we don't get the 19th is passed. When
right.
do we?
It gone.
Right. Like, and that was. I feel like every time it's a black holiday, they announce it. We don't get it until the following year. And then we talking about fucking Juneteenth and shit and 4th of July.
That's better than my company. My company likes to announce holidays and then take them away. We're supposed to get 2 additional floating holidays.
Shit, yours and mine both. I honestly was supposed to have to bid for this.
Really?
For the Monday. Like, because remember I told you the last episode, not episode, but the last episode I said, we get a floating holiday. Yeah. Meaning we have to apply for the holiday.
Which one you get to take.
Right. So if we don't know the holiday, that's me, really. If I don't know the holiday, I'm not going. I know Thanksgiving. I know Christmas. I don't know any holidays. I don't know Memorial Day, or I don't know those days. And you're giving us Christmas and Thanksgiving, so I'm thinking, okay, you got to apply for, what's it called? Well, they changed it at the end of the moment. Because before they said, everybody better get their July 4th requests in before we have to stop and review. And then it became to, we're letting y'all out early and we'll give y'all July 4th. Now, I don't think that they give you anything for free, right? No, so I don't know what it is or what it was that pushed them to allow us all to have this.
Enough people bitched about not getting Juneteenth off.
That might be it. That might be it, because I would have been the
fine. You get the 5th off. Fine.
I would have been the number 1 motherfucker in everybody's email. Like, y'all bitches made Juneteenth a holiday, and I can't even get it off, and now I gotta work. Me, black ass me of all people, have to work on July 5th.
There you go. You solved the problem.
Listen.
There's the answer.
And you know I'm just waiting for... I ain't gonna speak. But... Go ahead and talk about Loki. Go ahead and talk about my little brother while I use the bathroom.
I hear you. So Loki, we're catching up on episode 3 and episode 4. So
that's Disney Plus, though.
That is Disney Plus.
See, I just got to figure it out.
So if you haven't seen episode 3 or 4, hop off for a couple of minutes, come back. But episode 3, we get to know the female variant of Loki, and honestly, episode 3 felt a little filler, other than the fact that they were building up the relationship between the Loki we know and the female variant. Episode 4 was off the chain and really got into the heart of nothing is as it seems. There is the TVA, the Time Variance Authority. Everybody who works there were variants themselves. We come down to a little bit of a situation at the end where they do manage to kind of break free and attack the timekeepers, and it finishes off with a little bit of a surprise ending on that front, followed by a post-credits scene where after Loki was deleted or wiped or whatever they call it, he showed up on an island full of Lokis. So I think that the way that they're playing with the different elements of time travel and kind of the multiverse theory, etc., I think it's real clever. I don't know that we've seen anything like this before. And I think that that's actually what makes this Loki show pretty cool from the standpoint of it is a very kind of heavy sci-fi element, but the way it approaches it is not something that I've seen before. Like, it does have a little bit of reminiscence to something like Quantum Leap, in the sense that keep going back and making changes to the timeline, and really it's a connection between two of the variants that causes the biggest spike that anyone's ever seen. And at the end of the day, I'm really curious to see how it plays out from a like, what's the end game here? So we know that, Loki is now with a bunch of other Lokis. We know that there is something going on between him and I think it's Sylvia, the female variant. And again, it's just something that I don't know that we've seen. Female variant and Loki. I don't know that we've seen anything like this in television or storytelling before, where you're basically having a variant of a single person from different multiverses,
Assassin's Creed,
start to interact with one another.
Oh.
So I don't know that I've seen that concept before, and Cliff and I talk about this all the time. From nothing seems original. This show seems pretty original. From
that's Loki.
Yeah.
Okay. That's Disney Plus.
It is.
I'm gonna need one of y'all's logins.
Well, let me know. I can get you on that front.
I don't even want your free 30-day trial, cause I'll forget to.
Right, forget to cancel that shit. But yeah, so I think that the show itself and the way they're approaching, what fascinates me about it, Cliff, is the stuff that we've talked about a lot over the last couple of months around like multiverse theory and like it puts a spin on that I don't know that I've ever considered before, which was, what if the different versions of you could actually like communicate and get to know one another and like operate together?
That's how the story's being.
That's what's happening in the Loki in the series right now.
Because I think that's interesting.
Right.
The different versions.
So what are the different versions of you?
Of
and
me?
2, how would they work together?
Ooh.
Or would they just try to kill one another?
Nah, that's a great question. Nah. Ain't no self-destruct in me. Well, no. There's a lot of self-destruct in me. But not intentional.
Oh, son of a bitch. We lost half of our live viewers.
Did we? It's okay. Well, I'm about to get into something, so hopefully we get them back. But that was a great question. I'm not an intentional self-destructor.
I don't think anybody who's a self-destructor is intentional.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of intent to self-destruct.
You think people do that intentionally?
Yeah, I think sociopathology does that. I think suicidal people do that. I think because that's just you focusing on a temporary moment.
But do you think that's intentional
time.
At that point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm intentionally taking myself out of here, even though I'm only suffering from a temporary
situation or something like that.
Right. Like everybody's broken on the inside. Everybody's mirror is cracked. Yeah. Right? And I think the issue...
Do you choose to look at the distortion in the crack, or you just choose to look at the actual reflection piece?
That's you thinking as a mature man, but what I'm thinking is as children, not knowing that you're cracked is an issue. You know what I mean? Like, I know I'm broken. Not broken as in cannot be repaired, but I know that I've gone through things that have affected me, whether I know it or not, mentally.
Agree with that.
That are stopping me from being the person I should be. I know that factually. That's a factual thing. I know that.
I think it depends on what your definition of should then. Like, then we're getting back into...
Should be of when I say what I should
like
be.
Like your optimal version of yourself?
Right.
Okay.
Well, see, here's the thing, though. Well, see, here's the thing, because it's interesting you say that, because when I think of it that way, and that was just me putting out but when I think of it that way, I think optimum version of myself could be the devil.
I hear you on that.
You know what I mean? Like that, just me working at my optimum may not be beneficial to
I guess
the
it
people
depends on
around
what your definition of optimum is. Like, is it ultimate power and authority, or is it ultimate good?
Well,
you know what I mean?
I don't look at it as power or authority. I look at it as when you say optimum, I'm gonna look at it as running at my maximum capacity, the best version of myself running. And I don't know if that's a good person or not.
It's interesting that you put it that way. And I can't remember if we've had this talk or if I've had this talk with others, but
That could be
I take that back
person.
to. I take that back to like the WWE like Attitude Era. What they always said was that the reason why Rock and Austin were so popular was that they were basically playing themselves turned up to 11.
Right.
Themselves turned up to like the max in terms of everything about the character. So if you took all of their strengths and weaknesses and amplified them to, you know, double what you would expect from a normal person, that's why those characters took off, because they were basically being themselves but turning the volume way up.
That's interesting that you put it like that too, because I don't know that I would like myself amplified.
I hear you on that. I don't know that I would like you amplified.
Yeah, I don't think that.
And I would actually say that about myself as well. I don't know if I took my flashes of being like an extrovert and at my
see, that's
peak
interesting.
performance.
You put it like that. Continue, but that's interesting. You put it like that. Go ahead.
Well, but that's kind of what I'm getting at. That's the whole, when you meet two people who are super similar, maybe in philosophy and personality and like approach to like life and like how they talk to people, a lot of the times that is a situation where either those two people are going to be best friends or they're going to fucking hate each other. And I think me turned up to 11, hate me.
I agree. Well, see, here's the reason why I asked you to, give me more is because I feel like if I was turned up to the maximum, like as far as what Cliff wants, like as far as making moves Cliff needs, Cliff would then do that without the acknowledgement of other people's feelings.
This goes back to you have a minimal filter to begin with. If you were turned up to 11, there's no filter.
Period. I mean, that's period. Like, let's be honest. Like, let's be honest on this podcast. And I know
that's what we are. This is honesty. Right. We talked about that last episode.
And I know I've said this millions of times. Love my daughter to death. Love her to death. But that does not mean that she can't do things that would rub me wrong. That would make me feel like, I love you. Don't rock with that, though.
Right. I hear you.
Now, with that being said,
get out of the
when I
car.
say... What'd you say?
I said, get out of the fucking car.
Now, with that being said, when I say thinking myself moving at the optimum...
Yeah.
Right? That has nothing to do with anybody else. Not my daughter, not the mother of my child, not my mother, not my grandmother. No, that has nothing to do with no one but myself. If you can't move at this speed, you get left behind.
Okay. I hear what you're saying.
So when I think of myself as moving at the optimum, I'm not thinking about anybody that I'm doing this for. I'm thinking about me. And that's the issue. That's where I feel like I would never want to be operating in that mindset, because if anybody knows me, I could honestly care about myself less. Like, honestly, I'm an ant on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
If you choose to step on me, that's fine. But the time before the ant comes in contact with that shoe, I'm still the guy thinking, I'll lift this shoe the fuck up off of me.
Yeah.
Who are you talking to?
I could see that.
And when you bring other people involved, you can't think about your optimum. You know what I mean? Like, I can't think about my optimum when I know that I got people worried about me or needing me to survive. I can't leave you behind moving at my max speed because you don't move that way.
Right, you can't keep up.
You may not even be able to manipulate the space that I move in. So I have to make sure I'm not moving at optimum to make sure you're still at my right or my 70 or whatever you want to call it. So I mean, there's no optimum movement for me as long as I have a family that moves with me.
Well, and I think too that's taking the conversation back. It is. I think that's why this show is interesting in the sense that it's not just the optimum version. It is the whole principle behind Loki, and they even say it in the show at different points. Does being a Loki mean you're destined to fail? And so there are like different versions of him that have failed or have made different choices. And I would actually argue like, is it really failure for his character? But I think when you think about that from a multiverse perspective, like if there are different versions of you that have made different choices,
then maybe I should be the bad one. Right. Maybe my idea is to be the optimum me in this life.
And maybe there are like obviously multiverse.
I'm still not gonna, but
infinite possibilities in terms of who you are. But like, what are the 3 or 4 different versions of yourself that you would want to meet?
Maybe I do.
And I'm gonna use the restroom real quick.
Yeah, no, and I'm glad. And you know what? It's funny that you put that like that while you use that bathroom of yours. But maybe I do choose to be the optimum version of myself. Not thinking from a selfish perspective, but thinking from a what the fuck is the word I'm looking for? Like a boost in thinking, right? Because if I'm being honest with everybody listening currently, don't feel as if I've 100% been myself recently. Also, don't feel like being 100% of myself would be disregarding everyone else on this ship with me. That's not the way I work either. Optimum to me is optimum with the speed of everyone else moving along with me, or it's not optimum. Because the way I'm honestly thinking is if I can make it on my own, I'm still lonely. That means nothing to me if everyone else cannot keep the same pace I'm keeping. Which is why I feel like thinking in that realm of working at your optimum pace, that may not be the best thing.
Don't disagree with you. And I think that's actually an interesting point. Donovan's chiming in the chat.
My guy Don.
So let me hit the chat real quick just because I came back and there have been a couple. So Travi chiming in just talking about asking for boxing tips. He's got a 70-pound bag he's been hitting. He said he wants to maybe talk after the show.
Travi, all you got to do
is we'll do a post show. Feel free to jump on.
Yeah, and Don, you better hop on too.
Yeah.
Travi, stop fucking playing with me, G. You got my number.
But Donovan with a good question here. So could you imagine not having children, and what would you act like or worry about?
I'd be dead. I'd be dead right now.
I actually don't disagree with you talking about myself.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Because...
That's interesting.
Before...
And I'll give you specifics as well.
So before, like, settling down, getting married, I was drinking a lot. I was making a lot of bad choices.
Well, you know what?
And it got a little bit better when I moved back to Columbus. But I also think the timing of getting with my wife...
Wait, I'm saying with me too. If that was what you were dealing with before you moved back to Columbus, and then moving back to Columbus with me and the people,
we might have ended up. We might have ended up in the same shit together.
Well, I mean, we already did it. We did it. I mean, it may not have been ideal to the way we planned, but we did it, and it's done. And I would argue to say that both of us are better for it.
I don't disagree. But, and honestly, I don't know.
But I understand.
I do think that I could be very. Well, you know what I actually find interesting? I actually think that I've got two people that I would not be that far off of between you and Uncle Dan. Actually, like very insulated. Like my problem is that the problem I have is I like sex too much.
Okay.
And I would have what would have happened was I would have ended up with something one way or another, probably with somebody not as good as my wife.
You know what is funny? It's funny that you bring that up. And I will say, as reckless as I have always been.
Yeah.
Always been. As reckless as I have always been. I've been somewhat on point with, and I know this sounds chauvinistic, but knocking them up. You know what I mean? Like,
you've only slipped up once.
Right? And that, listen, let me tell you something. And I don't know if that's for me or y'all or, you know. Because, listen, but, to round it all back up. I'm just trying to round it all back up.
All right.
But
because I'll give you like the 4 different versions of myself I'd like to meet after you wrap it back up.
Oh, I forgot that was the question.
It was. But wrap up your thought here.
It's funny that you asked me to do that and I lost it.
Okay. So I'll jump in and I'll give you like the 4 or 5 different versions of myself that I would like to meet in the multiverse.
Okay.
The one is the one that decided to stay in the high school relationship, never left it.
Wait. Before you do that, what is your intention in meeting them?
I think it's just to understand like what the different possibilities were.
Okay.
And to see like which version is quote unquote the happiest.
Okay. Now I'm following. Okay, continue.
So the first version is the one that like stayed with the high school girlfriend, stayed in Columbus for college, probably married with kids much earlier. Did it work? How many kids? Did it end in a bad divorce? Did it end up in what? Whatever. The second one is the one that pushed heavier in athletics and believed in himself more in athletics. Because I think by the time, after I broke my leg, it wasn't that I gave up on myself, but I kind of took sports for what it was for me. Like, was never going to be professional, but was enough for me, like, in the moment.
Right.
So maybe it's the version of myself that didn't break his leg and ended up playing bigger college ball. What happened? Playing for a bigger school, you know, did football and track go anywhere because of that? I think the next one is the version that maybe stayed with the college girlfriend for the same reason as the high school one, like what happened there. And then I think the last version is the one that made the decision early on just to be alone and like not fuck with anything and just focus on career, just focus on maybe money and taking care of my existing family, not my own family.
Right.
I think those are the 4 or 5 versions of myself that I would like to if I had a chance to meet people in the multiverse or meet myself in the multiverse, those are like the different decision trees. I would like to see like what the results of those different decision trees were. that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. It just it confuses me because I'm on a completely different level.
Yeah, let's hear it. I don't think outside the box, man. I'm like, I know there are like 5 or 6 key decisions in my life, or things that changed my life to go one way or another. I'll give you the last one. Would be, what if my dad didn't pass away? If there's a world where
if
AJ's still alive, does that influence the rest of my life somehow?
Oh, it does. But if I'm being honest,
but do I play football? Like you and I had that talk.
I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want that guy. I wouldn't want that guy.
I hear you. But those are the 5.
Not once again, when I say that, it's not.
I know what
that
you
would
mean
be
by it.
Better for you, but for me,
I actually don't know that it would be better for me either. But who knows?
Well, I can't even.
That's why I would want to see the result.
And it's funny, and and this is even me being honest, and I don't mean to bring down the room.
Yeah.
But I do. It's not even funny, but it is to me. I do feel like at the end of the day, there is hurt somewhere in me.
Yeah.
Because all of the people that I would like to meet of myself, the only reason I want to meet them is because I want to fight them.
And see which ones are... You want to do like a who is the best version of Cliff in a fight standpoint.
And I feel like
I feel like the fat, happy version of you is the happiest version. And he can't fight for shit.
I don't think that he would even be a version because he can't survive. Listen, he couldn't survive in my head. All I'm getting at is just thinking about it. And the reason why I say it has to be some hurt is because I honestly don't think that there's no one in this world around me that could deal with me specifically.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And I don't mean that from like a loving standpoint I just mean like from me. Like just me. Just unadulterated, raw cocaine me. Who could deal with it? I don't know that anybody could. The only person that would be able to would be me. Right? And the only way I would know that I could deal with it is if I could control it.
Okay.
Which is why I would want to fight every version of me. Just because, I guess, because we're having the conversation and we're on the route, I feel like I still can't control myself. Like, I feel like even as much as I know myself currently, I can't control them. I know that one too many drinks will take me somewhere. Or I know that listening to one too many haters will make me aggressive. Doesn't mean that I will listen to the rules. You know what I mean? Like, you shouldn't. But no, I still want to hear what you got to say. Right. And then that gets me hype. And then I feel a certain kind of way. So I feel like mine would be a fight for control.
Okay.
And if I'm going to give you my 5 would be maybe a lot different than your realm of thinking. It would be the younger me. It would be the childhood me.
Okay.
You gotta get jumped. You gotta get jumped by all of me's. Yeah, you gotta.
You're trying to create a 6th version of you, By jumping childhood to you with 5 older versions.
Well, the other 4, I should say. Gotta fuck up. Secondly would be the demon version of me. Because that's the one that gets the most done. Okay. That's the one that
only cares about Cliff.
Right. Don't care about anybody else's feelings. This is what needs to be done. Okay. It's already done. Then it would be the soft version of me. The version that doesn't want to speak up when I feel like I should. And that's ironic to say because I always like to talk when I feel like something needs to be said.
Yeah.
But there's still a piece of me that is, I guess, timid. That won't just say it when it needs to be said. That guy needs to go to, you need stabbed in the neck. What's that, 3 or 4?
I think that's 3.
I think that's 3 too. Lastly would be the guy that I would like to be. Because if there's anything, and I said lastly because I didn't mean to. There's still 2 more. But second to lastly would be the guy. What did I say? How did I say it?
You said the one that you would like to be.
Exactly. Because that's not me either.
Okay.
Right? That's just
the version of you
that you think would be easiest to work with. And that guy needs stabbed in the throat as well. He can't come back from this. And then lastly is just me. And that's a guy that, if I'm being honest, I wouldn't recognize if I bumped into him tomorrow. So I wouldn't even be able to do anything to you because I wouldn't know that was you if I saw you.
Yeah. Okay. It's interesting. I like the different approach you had on that.
I mean, that's just where I'm at right now. You know what I mean? Like, I fuck up. I know I fuck up. And if I could rewind these 30, we'll say 5 years. I'll be 35 in August. I've fucked up a little more than I've accepted and rode the wave.
Okay.
Like, I feel like the pushing back is what fucks me up the most.
Yeah.
Instead of just letting it ride, letting the hand play itself out, me pushing back is what fucks up my progression the most.
I can see that.
But with that being said, it's not no reason that I don't feel soft about it. I don't feel like anybody should be feeling sorry for me. Like,
no. I think at the end of the day, like, you and I both are comfortable with where we currently are. Right. I think it's just an interesting question to pose. Like,
no, that was a great question.
If somebody were to ask me, like, if I wanted to see the different paths that Cliff took, I would say, let me see the Cliff that stayed in the game.
And that's the one that interests me the most.
Let me see the Cliff that didn't give up on football. Let me see the Cliff that didn't give up on music. Not even give up. Let me see the Cliff that made it in those arenas.
Right.
Made it in football, made it in music. And then hopefully we are in the universe where we make it with a podcast. Those are the versions that I would like to see. That's where we at. That's where we doing. Cheers. Bulls agree. My man.
No, I agree. I agree with that. Like I told Blue, listen, he still got, like he said, I'm not even gonna say that, but he said I got 9 months left.
And we doing a week straight worth of episodes with him.
We're
doing 10 episodes in a row with Blue.
But and made me feel the same way I feel now. Like when he said he got 9 months left in there, and he was just the way he was explaining it to me, it felt like he was hitting that wall.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing this for, and I don't know what I plan to do when I get out.
After. Yeah.
And I was just thinking to myself, like, from his perspective, none of that matters. What's the... And this is the same words I said to him when I talked to him. I said, what's the first thing you want to do? Like, you're worried about bettering yourself. But right now, the one thing worth more money than money is time.
Yeah.
And you just lost a lot of it. So even if your first goal is to just go to Zumbizi Bay and see bitches in bikinis.
Right.
Doing that is the step to
yeah,
making sure
no doubt.
you do the rest of the things you need to do to succeed. So,
well, what does success look like at this point? You know what I mean? Like,
listen, to me, it's happiness.
I do not disagree with you.
Just happiness. I don't care what it is. I don't care what it is. I don't care if I don't never take a vacation again in my life. I just want to be happy. And happiness could be in the small circle I'm in.
I was in
the 25 by 25 house I live.
I was in a conversation with somebody, I don't even remember who, but it was somebody over the last like 2 weeks. And they were like, what's your next thing? What's your next like goal? And I'm like, honestly, I'm pretty content with where I'm at right now. I don't know that I have like some big goal right now.
That's a blessing.
And it absolutely is.
That's a blessing.
But at the same time, it's also like, if you're not advancing towards something, what are you doing? And like,
we ain't doing enough. That's what that says to me. To me. Not to you, to the people listening, but to you, to me, we're not doing enough.
I don't disagree with you. And you know, I think part of it is that, and you and I have talked about that both on the show and after the show. Like, there are things that I want to do a little bit differently, but at the same time, it's more from a position of I can. It's not that it is.
Now you're thinking specific. I'm not even thinking that specific.
Yeah.
But I understand what you're saying. I'm not thinking like that. I'm thinking more so there's a... What'd you say? The Loki shit. Multiple universes.
Yeah.
There's a hole in our shit right now. Right?
And things are flipping back and forth.
100. Like, there's a hole in our shit, and we can't tell the difference between what has already come and what is future to come to fruition. And we're bouncing back and forth between I've been here before.
Yep.
Because let's be honest, we've been here before with music. We've been here before with athletics.
It's interesting.
We've been here before with so many different things that we don't know when we're right on that, for lack of a better words, precipice of greatness.
It finally feels like, from a timing perspective, the timing is right.
Right.
You and I are just older than I thought we would be. And I joked about that on the last show. I think it's that if
older than
if we were doing
younger than I expected.
Right. If we were doing music, if we were in the position we were 10 years ago right now, it's a different game. It's a different game.
We'd have been the Jacksons.
You're little Nas X. Like that's a bad example. But I mean, from a self-published, like, getting the voice out, that's a bad example. You know what I mean by it, though.
Let's be honest. I'm sure I was kissing the devil back in the days. But that's a bad example.
I knew it coming out of my mouth. It was the wrong example, but
I understand what you're saying. I do understand wholeheartedly what you're saying.
And I mean, at the end of the day, it's just getting like the one thing that pops. So it's all good.
It's not even about that. Like I said, it's not about that with me. You know what I mean? And I'll share this before we wrap up. When I talked to my brother, he felt it felt like, not he felt, it felt like he was coming into a rut without giving you away the conversation. Mm-hmm. And it's not that deep.
And I'm sure I could piece together enough of it by knowing the situation.
But what I was explaining to him is that you're thinking too far ahead. You know what I mean? Like, you're thinking as if you're already out trying to make a way.
Right.
You're not there yet.
Right.
You haven't even had a good chance to stare into the sunlight. Or stand on the grass with your bare feet and soak up the ground. You haven't had that. So to think automatically as to what am I going to do to provide just sounds dumb to me.
Yeah.
Because it's like, before we get to a point of wanting to provide, what are we inspired by?
Absolutely.
And right now you can't be inspired by those four walls. And if you are inspired by those four walls, you should probably stay inside of them.
Yeah.
So it's only natural, at least in my mind, for somebody dealing with that to feel bogged down or stressed out, or like it's like, well, what am I supposed to do? You're just supposed to live right now.
Yeah.
You're just supposed to live. Like, let's be honest, we're in the halftime of our life. This is the time where we reevaluate to see how we're going to make shit happen before we hit our midlife crisis type shit.
Right. I don't disagree with that.
And if you're not even in a situation where you can live, then don't think about providing.
Well, and I think in what I will say, having been in, I don't know, like, I'm not going to claim to be in the same, or having been in the same position as Chris, but I went through a period. Yeah, I went through a period of 4 or 5 years where I felt lost, but I also felt like I was just living. Like, I'm doing my thing.
That was my whole childhood. And I don't mean childhood, but you know what I mean.
I mean, like,
16
for me,
19.
like, post college, and I actually agree with you. I think you went through that from like 16 to 21. I went through that after college from like 22 to 28. What I would say is, and then got married, and it was 5 years, 5.5, 6 years of very goal oriented. Like, I want this, this, and this, and very blessed. I've achieved it. Like, I did what I intended to do. From a provide for the family, put us in a neighborhood, make sure A-Reg is taken care of, and from a materialistic bullshit thing, I have pretty much what I want. I don't need anything else.
I think my issue is that I don't. Like, let's be honest. Okay, let's be honest. And what I was about to say is my issue is that I don't have what I want.
I hear you.
I don't know what I want, but I know.
But that's the difference, is that, like, the things that I had identified, I was able to go. It goes back to the question that I got asked over the last 2 weeks.
What is it that you want?
What is it that I want at this point? I'm with you at this point. I don't know what I really want at this point.
The only thing that I would want at the moment is to make it with the people that deserve
to make it with you. Yeah. It is
we've been trying
what
for
is
a
it?
while.
It's the Adam Sandler
things.
thing.
Right. And I don't want anything else. I don't want isolated exposure. I don't want to be my own man.
No, it would be great if
I don't mean it like that. Of course you have to be your own man.
I know what you mean, though. Like, you would like to be in a position, and correct me if I'm wrong here, you would like to be in a position where we as a unit could be successful enough, like, where this could be what we do.
Period.
And not have to do something else.
Period.
Not have to work the mindless 9 to 5. Not have to, be able to afford rent and comfort off of just doing something like this.
You said it. That's it.
And I'm with you on that.
That's the only thing I really want. I don't really have any, my family to be healthy and, live as long as God intended them to. But Other than that, that's the only thing
I'm with
that I
you.
could think I would want in this world.
And I think, you know what? We're about an hour 50. I think this is a good place to cut it. Because I know a couple of folks want to hop on with us for post show, and they're asking like how much longer they think we're gonna go.
Let's cut it.
So we're gonna go ahead and cut it here. You got anything to take us out, Mr. Jordan Jennings?
As always, love everybody, even your in-laws, and then love them some more. Shit, I don't know.
And I will echo the same as Mr. Jordan Jennings. Love your in-laws. Love your mom. Love. Even if she takes you through hell and makes you roast to death in, whatever city you're visiting. With all that in mind, though, Cliff, I will acknowledge I missed you last week, so I'm glad we're back.
My guy.
And with all of that, peace out, fools. It's been real.